What is qi? What? Cheese? No, chi, not cheese. Qi. What is qi? Have you heard of the word qi? If you've gone to acupuncture before or any type of Chinese medicine clinic, you've probably heard the word qi, right? And so, what is it? What is this word, this Chinese word? Well, some people may explain it as some type of mystical energy. Actually, when I went to TCM school, that's what we were taught, that it was this type of energy, not a physical science. What is it? They use many words, but they still can't define the word chi. So, what is it? That's what I'm going to break down today. I'm going to go over what I was taught in school, in Chinese medicine school, the definition of chi, and then I'm going to go over what's the scientific research. Yes, there's research done. I'm going to go over the scientific research, how they define the word chi, and then I'm going to end with how do I, Jimmy the Acu Sensei, how do I define chi and how do I explain it? How do myself and my team at Achieve Integrative Health, how do we explain it to our patients based on our clinical practice? All right, let's dive in. So I created this nifty little dashboard so that you can refer back to it. If you want access to this dashboard, just comment in the comment below dashboard. Okay. So I'm going to start off, like I said, there's a classical root of the word qi, the character, the Chinese character, this is how it's written. And in the classical root, they translated the word qi as breath or vapor, air, movement, or transformation. And then it went through TCM, and TCM is traditional Chinese medicine, and they defined qi as food and air, or gu qi, jing qi, form of functional qi, right? So a lot of words not very clear. And then science, from the science lens, when you put on the science glasses, this is oxygen plus ATP, right? This is actually my interpretation as well. Okay. But in TCM, qi is the body's vital functional activity derived from food and air, right? And then these are some of the textbook resources that if you're interested in the way TCM defines it, right? They say TCM, the chi in the body that animates us, gives us the capacity to get work done, is called upright, normal, or true chi. Chi has five main functions in the body, enables all movement and accomplishes all movement. Chi, energy, this is the one we were taught, energy, dependent upon our environment, food, or chi. In fact, chi is a constituent of the whole universe, and the human body interferes with it at all levels. So these are the definitions that we study from our textbook when I was in TCM school. I don't know about you, but even back then, and as I'm reading it right now, there's a lot of words to this definition that we study, and it really isn't that clear, right? At least it is not to me. And so now let's get to this. What does science say, right? I'm a science guy. So what does science say? Well, science, I've listed all the research that is done. So again, if you want to get access to this dashboard, just comment dashboard below in the comments, and my team will send you access to it. Okay. So this is based on science now. This is not some woo-woo magic mystical energy. Qi is mitochondria energy metabolism. We have in every cell in our body, a mitochondria is our power plant, right? In every city, if you say in every city, in the city you lived in, that you live in right now, there's a power plant. What does a power plant do? It generates energy, generates electricity so that you can have power in your home. Like I need to have power for this video, right? How does the power plant generate energy? That's a whole nother story. Okay. But chi is similar to that mitochondrial energy metabolism. And if you're a science person, does that sound familiar? It should, because it's ATP generation. That's why it's here, ATP generation, right? ATP is what gives us our cellular power. Qi has oxygen supported physiological function. Okay. Qi has integrated bioenergy, and qi as cardiopulmonary metabolic regulation, right? So these are what science have found that correlate to qi. Okay. And so again, there's a lot of definitions, right? So as I'm reading this, I'm like, so what is the definition? It's like, Jimmy, give it to me straight. What is the definition? Okay, I'm going to get to it because that's my definition. I like things simple. I'm a simple guy. I like things simple, and I explain things very simple to our patients so that they can understand. Hopefully, I'm not giving the impression that I'm making fun of these definitions. Okay, I'm not. All of these are great information. But when it comes to a practical sense, like in a clinical sense, like when patients come to our clinic and we want to help them, when they want to know how everything that we're doing is working, right? There needs to be a simpler way to explain this. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but let's move on. Physiological definitions: qi as oxygen extraction. This is key to remember. Qi as oxygen extraction and delivery. Okay. Qi as mitochondria ATP generating capacity. Qi as regulated whole body function. And here's a concise definition, modern definition. Qi can be defined scientifically as oxygen driven, nutrient supported physiological function. That's still a handful to me, okay? Because what is that for some people who's not really strong in biology and anatomy and physiology, you may still not understand what this means, right? But for those of y'all who have that background, you could use this definition. So, especially the organism's capacity to extract breathable air, convert substrates into ATP, regulate metabolism, and maintain coordinated activity across tissues. As acupuncturists, as TCM practitioners, I've showed you what we learned from our textbooks, the definition, and I've showed you the science, okay? And now I'm going to show you the Jimmy Acu Sensei definition. So I'm a simple guy and I'm a science guy. So I do explain everything in our clinic. My team explains everything in simple terms, but based on science. Okay. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. Actually, my definition of chi, many acupuncturists, many TCM practitioners disagree with me. And it's okay. Everybody has their own definition. So I'm not saying mine's right, theirs wrong. I'm just saying this is what we do. This channel is about sharing about what I do, what my team does in our clinic that has helped thousands of people get phenomenal results, which has resulted in us, our clinic, being rated as the #1 acupuncture and wellness clinic in the entire US. Okay, but let's come back to qi. So this is the Chinese word qi, right? So I like to go to the source. I try not to go to a translated version of the source. If I can go to the source, I'll go to the source. If I can't, then I have to deal with a translation. Okay. But since I can read Chinese, I like to go to the source of the word. Give you a little background about Chinese words. Chinese words, when they were created 3,000 years ago, maybe even 5,000 years ago, they were pictures and they had meanings. And the meanings of the pictures in those words gave the meaning of the entire word. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So this is the entire word chi. It started off as this top area, okay, this top area started off as a picture of just 3 lines. That's how it started off. What is this picture of the 3 lines? What did this picture mean originally when they created this word? It means air. It means vapor. It can mean steam. Okay? That's what it meant. And then now you have this bottom character. What did this mean? This means rice. Okay? So Chinese words are very picturesque, like a pictogram. Okay? So let's see, how does that make any sense? Well, if you ever cook rice, right? If you cook rice, what happens? How do you cook rice? Traditionally, how do people cook rice? Well, there's a fire underneath, right? Fire. And the rice is in the water. What happens? Steam comes up. See? Steam comes up. That is the picture of the word chi. Can you see it? That is this picture right here. Can you see it? It's the words were created just from practical living. From this picture, you can understand the real meaning of the word chi, right? So we need rice. What does rice symbolize? So it's a lot of symbolic things, right? What does rice symbolize? Nourishment. Because back then, well, even today, rice is the staple of Asian food, of Asian culture. So rice is our nourishment. It's what gives us life, right? And when you utilize or in order to utilize that nourishment, we need this air or vapor, right? So we need air, vapor, right? And it also signifies if we are utilizing this rice, we are using food. We eat food and we're able to break it down metabolically. What does it generate? It generates, guess what? ATP, right? It generates energy, right? And so it is Chinese medicine is an energetic medicine, but not a mystical energetic medicine. At least not, I don't interpret it that way. It is a physical, hard science medicine. Okay. It just wasn't explained and translated that way. But this was the original. I'm not talking about the translations. I'm talking about the original meaning of this word. It is qi is air vapor, which provides us nourishment because rice signifies nourishment. Okay. So let me just write that down. So it is air that provides nourishment. And if you are a Christian and you've read the Bible, or if you just read the Bible, you'll know in Genesis, it says, God created man and he breathed life into them. That is chi. He breathed life into them. Okay. So whether you believe that or not, that's up to you. But for me, I believe that from a spiritual perspective, chi is that breath that God breathed into all of us. And so we all have that breath, the life of God, right? So but that's another tangent. Let's come back to science. So what does that all mean? Well, let's understand what's in air. What are the things that are in air? We have oxygen. We have carbon dioxide, we have nitrogen, we have nitric oxide, right? But what does our body need to survive? Oxygen. Our body needs oxygen. Every single cell in your body needs oxygen to survive. Yes, the carbon dioxide and nitrogen, nitric oxide, they help support other functions, but the main gas we need is oxygen. So if the word chi is what nourishes us, then my thinking is this. Chi is just oxygen plus ATP. And I showed you above the research that proves my theory may be accurate. If you ever ask, hey, Jimmy, Acu Sensei, how do you define chi? This is how I define chi. Oxygen plus ATP. That is chi. Is it 100% covers everything? No, it doesn't. Remember, I'm a simple guy. My patients, they like simple explanations. They don't like complex explanations. So when we're doing my quick restorative acupuncture in our clinic, when my team is doing it on our patients, we are moving chi. We are moving oxygen. We are stimulating your cells to create ATP. We're moving ATP. Okay. We're moving oxygen in the bloodstream. We're moving chi. Chi, oxygen, ATP. How cool is that?